So we're sitting here with Sean Hayes. This is actually my first like podcast style interview, but we're sitting here with Sean Hayes. He is a top producing agent here in the Keller Williams Athens Market Center. I think you're in the top two or three, somewhere around there. Which we'll get into how he's gotten to that point. But he's also an investor, which is kind of how I really met you, because I met you at an Athens real estate meetup.
Right.
I didn't know you before then. And I don't even know, I guess I knew that you were an agent in the office at that point, but I didn't know anything about you. So,
right.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. So you're in the military too. So kind of give me like a Cliff's Notes to your background.
Yeah, a little escalator speech. So essentially, real quick, joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. Had my mom sign the papers because I was like, I want to go right now. I grew up about an hour away from Athens in Gwinnett County. Did that for a few years. Did 2 deployments, one to Afghanistan, one to Asia. Got out when I was like 22, and I was like, I'm going to be a physical therapist, and started a CrossFit gym. And quickly realized, so we did end up opening up a CrossFit gym. I partnered with somebody else, and that was like really my first business venture, right? But there was a lot of failures there. I was also going to college at the same time, pretty much living off of the GI Bill. But then my business partner at the time told me to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? I mean, it's like, it's such a stereotypical story, but it's true, and I read that book, and like I was always interested in money, like, even like in the Marine Corps, I was like helping people get their credit scores because I was like, I don't have any money, but like it's very interesting to me. Yeah. Then I read that book and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, so, we read that, and I switched I switched from, exercise science to business. And I was like, this is what I'm going to be doing. And was like kind of diving into real estate, like trying to wholesale, having no idea what I was doing, you know. And, kind of one thing kept leading to another. We ended up shutting down the gym. Got my wife pregnant. So I was like 23, having a kid, and like no real direction of what I was doing. Yeah. So a guy hit me up on LinkedIn to go contract over in Afghanistan. So I was like, all right, hey, I know we have a kid, but we also have no money, so I'm going to go contract, do security work in Afghanistan to kind of figure it out. And did that for a few months. It was very cold, and we were working like 12-hour days, 7 days a week. And I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to come home early. Like, this sucks. I'm not doing this, and I'm just going to figure it out, and I'm going to figure it out in real estate. So I started Googling like real estate jobs, and like, there was a real estate agent. I never really thought about being a real estate agent. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, my main goal is going to be real estate investing. So why not be an agent who's in the trenches every single day?
So you thought about being in real estate investing before an agent?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was listening to like Bigger Pockets, like even like when I was going to the gym.
Really?
Like, or, running the CrossFit gym. I'd be in the back office, and I'm just like listening to Bigger Pockets, watching the webinars on Wednesday, like listening to all these podcasts, and like just trying to figure it out. I had no idea like what I was doing, but I was like, there is a way that I can do this. I know it. So I kind of had that break in Afghanistan to kind of like just pause life and just replan what I'm going to do, reattack, and then when I got home, I was ready to re-engage. And so we actually, because I was living in Lawrenceville at the time, so we sold everything because I was going to Afghanistan for a year. I came home in 3 months, so this is like March 2017. Yeah. I walked into Keller Williams' office, and I was like, hello, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm interested in real estate. And Mackenzie was there at the front at the time. She's like, oh, well, we start a real estate class in like 2 weeks, so you want to go ahead and sign up? I'm like, sure, here's my credit card.
Wow.
I had like 15 credit cards at the time because like the gym was making no money.
Yeah.
And so I just like figured out a way that my credit was still good, because I would like get a credit card with no APR for like 18 months, live on that for a little bit, open up a new credit card with a 0% debt rollover, roll that debt over. So I just kept like acquiring all these credit cards. So I didn't realize at the time like how good that was going to be, because now I have like $100,000 worth of credit card limits. I just was accidentally doing it like to survive though, and just kind of figuring it out. And I was like, I really don't want to pay interest. I found out like paying interest in real estate is cool, credit cards not so much. But I just figured out a way to like, all right, cool. I know if I can do this, then I'll open up this credit card and this credit card and this credit card.
Yeah.
So did that, gave her the credit card, and then we moved in with her parents, with a kid, her 2 brothers, grandma. So it was like a super packed house with a Hispanic family. So Learned a lot, drank a lot of Cuban coffee, and started doing landscaping here in town, and then had a Crunch membership. So I would like go do landscaping all day, go to Crunch to go shower, and then go to real estate school at night. And then I also started college. So like 2 days a week I was going to real estate school, 2 days a week I was going to college at night, and just like getting after it.
Wow, that's overwhelming just to hear. So let me back up for a second. What year did you enroll in the military, and when did you go to Afghanistan?
So initially 2010. So that's when I graduated, and then went right into the Marine Corps after that. Got out. So I got out in 2014, and then I had a 5-year break in service. So after I got back from contracting, and then pretty much right when I started, like got my license and stuff, I joined the National Guard. Because I was like, I'm going to go all into this. Like, I'm going to quit landscaping and support my family through real estate.
Yeah.
So I bet on myself, right? But I joined the National Guard because they're like, hey, we're going to give a $20,000 signing bonus. But it's the freaking military. You don't get that up front. And I'm like, so I like joined the National Guard, and I'm like, hey, where's that money? Hey, where's that money? Hey, where's that money?
And they said, what, you got to be in here for X amount of time first?
No, they're like, well, we'll issue it to you like within the first 365 days of your contract. And I'm like, oh God.
Wow. So you went to Afghanistan. It was still pretty sticky over there, huh?
Yeah. So when I was doing the security, that wasn't too bad. But then I went back to Afghanistan because I joined the National Guard, and then like 8 months later, the unit got activated to go to Afghanistan.
Wow.
So I was already doing real estate, figuring out solo agent. I think I sold like 15 houses my first year, and was like, on track to sell like 30 in the second year, and then got activated with the National Guard in May of 2018.
So your first full year in real estate was what year?
2017. Well, I started August to
Gotcha.
August to December.
All right, gotcha. Okay, so you go to Afghanistan, or you get in the military. Even in the military, you're thinking real estate, though. Is that right?
Like in the Marine Corps or in the Army? Because now I did both at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just say military broadly. Right. So you're in the military, and you're thinking real estate this whole time.
Yeah, I'm thinking real estate.
Yeah. So that's different than the way I did it, because I did not know what a mortgage was until I got into real estate. And really, I just got into real estate because I had a double lung transplant, and I was like, well, I got to find something to do type thing.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting to hear that it was already on your radar. You were already thinking about investing, and then you kind of just wanted an inside track, so you became an agent.
Yeah, I figured I'm just going to be in the trenches every day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to learn.
Wow.
I'm sure I'll meet other investors and stuff, and see what they do to buy houses, and then just copy what they're doing.
Yeah, right? See, that's pretty awesome, because I went in to real estate not knowing what a mortgage was, became an agent, and then understood what investing was, and then I started listening to bigger podcasts, and then I started investing. So we were kind of flip-flopped in the way we went after it. So, okay, so before we get into your investing stuff, so you started as an agent, you did 15 transactions roughly, your first, 4 months, roughly.
Something like that.
So how did you find clients to get started? Because, it sounds like your life was military. So were all those military clients?
No. So this was just the National Guard. So just starting up, it was just, a weekend a month pretty much. But how I do clients, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot, but I knew just from like watching YouTube videos and stuff that like cold calling was a thing. So like the very first thing I did, and you can ask like other agents, I would come in there like with my book bag because I didn't have a desk or anything, and I would just go sit in the conference room, and I just called everybody in my entire phone book, and I was like, I did exactly what they told me to say, right? Like, hey, I'm in real estate now, who do you know? So I did that, and then I got Red X, and I just started freaking circle prospecting my face off, and then I would try to do every single open house possible. So I would try to do 2 open houses every single weekend, and then base my life off of like, okay, cool, well, I know I'm going to do open house on Saturday here, open house on Sunday here, and then I would just, post on social media, circle prospect the whole area, go door knock the whole area, and then get lenders to pay for all my marketing and stuff. Yeah, so you mean to tell me that cold calling, circle prospecting, open houses, and just hustling works? Yeah, I mean, it's like, it really blows my mind, because I'm like, man, this is really just mastering the basics, you know? And I would just do that every single day and just be obsessed with real estate.
Yeah, I've noticed, I haven't been in real estate that long. I mean, I've my first full year was 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started in like mid 2019, but it's amazing how many real estate agents don't want to do those things.
Right. They want the quick, the Zillow leads or the realtor leads and things like that. But what I found is the industry average is like 3% conversion rate on those, and that's if you're hustling them. So what I found is like much more genuine conversations with people, with actual homeowners, with actual people who want to buy a house versus somebody who just saw ad and click. I mean, I do it all the time, right? Click. Oh, sure. Let me see that.
Yeah,
no, I'm
exactly.
not really interested. I just want to see what it was.
Yeah, exactly. They want to see what the pool looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Okay, so this is kind of going down a little bit of a rabbit trail, but so when you're cold calling, or even maybe sphere calling, what is the conversation? Like, how do you even get started on talking to folks?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just calling people like literally in my phone book, I'm just calling to catch up. You know, calling to say like, if it's somebody I haven't talked to in a while, I want to make sure that they still remember me. If it's like, somebody that I talk to all the time, I said, hey man, just reminding you that I'm in real estate and I'm always looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So please just keep me in mind. And it's like, awesome. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, dude, definitely, for sure.
Yeah. And it's not threatening. It's not intimidating. It's not like salesy. It's just, hey, how you doing?
Really? Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think that would be a very good note to take for anybody watching that's either struggling in real estate as on the agent side or just getting started, because that's what I found too. Yeah. My niche was open houses. Yeah. I raised my hand for every single open house possible, and I got good. I got to the point where I could tell within 2 steps of somebody coming in the door whether or not they
100%
were actually looking and didn't have an agent. I didn't have to ask any questions. You can kind of see it.
Yep.
Okay, so you wanted to get into investing. That was your end goal. Mm-hmm. So how did you go from starting in real estate, becoming an agent, to investing? What was the landscape like?
Okay, so I got into real estate and then started like really understanding real estate, right? And I started understanding like, okay, so I started laying out a game plan. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Obviously, we're 1099 contractors, and I wrote off everything my first few years because I was like, why not? Not really understanding that would screw me over on a mortgage. But because I joined the National Guard and we were getting activated to go to Afghanistan, I started getting W-2 pay. So I was like, holy crap. So I'm calling lenders and they're like, no. And I'm like, and these are like lenders I was like referring people to and stuff. And I was like, dang, nobody can do this. Like, I'm getting W-2 pay and I'm going to get it for at least the next year. So I knew that there was a lender out there. So eventually I found a lender. They're like, yeah, man. Yeah, we could definitely do that. Good to go. Got my CEO to send something over saying like, yes, he's going to be on orders for the next year doing W-2 pay. I'm like, sweet. So I went and found like the cheapest possible house in Athens that was going to be VA eligible. And I bought that house for like $124,000. And they paid like $3,000 in closing costs. Plus I got my commission check.
That's awesome. So did you use your commission check for like the... Oh, well,
there was no down payment.
You didn't have a down payment.
Yeah, there was no down payment. Wow. And on a $124,000 house, the closing cost was very significant, very insignificant. So they agreed to pay $3,000 of it. So my commission covered the rest. So I still had like a little check.
Nice.
And that's like when the world, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. I own a primary residence house. Nothing crazy. It's like 1,000 square feet. Nothing crazy. But I was like, we're going to live here for a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to keep, I'm going to keep selling houses, build this up, and we're going to figure out how I can get other mortgages because of tax reasons and stuff like that. So, do that for a little bit. Actually, my wife closed before me because closing day, I was literally on a plane to Afghanistan. Wow. So my wife goes and closes at the house, and she's like, what are you doing buying this house? Like, this house, like, it's not the best area. It's super small. Like, it's not what I want. And I'm like, just... trust it.
See the vision.
Just trust this process. Now she's like fully bought in. She's like, let's buy another one. But so we did that, and then we painted it, did a little bit here and there. Got back from Afghanistan, hopped right back into being a real estate agent. Like pretty much get off the plane, and then like a week goes by, and I come back up here, and I'm home, and I'm done with the deployment at that point. So going back to a full commission job was like super stressful. Yeah. But I already knew what to do. So now,
can I pause you for just a second? So I've noticed. So my wife and I like to travel out west during the summer. That's just one of the things. That do it now while while we can enjoy
Yeah,
it and
absolutely.
get out and hike and all that kind of stuff. So, but I've noticed that whenever I go out west and don't really do anything for a month, as far as lead gen or any type of business stuff goes, when I get back, it takes probably another 2 months to get back in the flow of things and get transactions going and all that kind of stuff. So, when you were in Afghanistan, did you do any real estate lead genning, and then if you didn't, how long did it take to get back that business from?
No, I didn't really do anything. I mean, still like would post stuff on social media about real estate and stuff like that. I got a few referrals just from people reaching out saying like, hey, I know you're in Afghanistan, but like I'm thinking about buying a house, so I'd refer them to other agents and get a little commission check. But I mean, essentially, like coming back into that office after the deployment was like literally being day one as a brand new agent again. I got nothing in the pipeline. Not a whole lot of money. The Army doesn't pay too well. I was like, crap, man, this is like literally day one as being a real estate agent again. But I already knew what to do, so I just like put my head down and like just did the same thing. Do open houses and do all this other stuff and just keep going. Yeah.
So you buy that first single family house, you go to Afghanistan, you get back. Now you get back into your agent business. So what was the next step in the progression with investing?
Yeah. So again, with the 1099 stuff, it's very difficult to get approved for a mortgage, right? Because I want to write off as much stuff as possible. And I did that again until 2020. So I bought the house in 2019, bought the first house in 2019, January. Then 2020 came around. So March 2020, COVID hit. Well, guess what happens? I'm in the National Guard, get activated again. So I'm like, can I do this again? So I started calling mortgage lenders. I'm like, hey man, I'm on COVID orders. Like I'm getting W-2 paychecks, plus I'm getting my real estate money still at the same point. And they're like, maybe. So I call a few around. I got a buddy of mine who was also in the Marine Corps, grew up together. So he knows the VA home loan like really well, right? Because he was a Marine. He's a local mortgage lender here. He's like, dude, I think we can do this. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So because I'm activated on the COVID mission, right? I'm literally down at the food bank, like packing bags, and then all the riots and stuff. So they kept asking who wanted to extend orders. And I was like, man, I'm still selling houses and doing the Army. I want to keep this W-2 pay going, at least until I can close a house. So that's exactly what I did. So I got activated again, found my lender who would give me the loan, and then saw a nice house over on the east side of Athens. I submitted an offer sight unseen, like on our way down to the beach. I'm like typing up the offer. I sent over to the agent. She's like, have you seen the house? I'm like, yeah, the pictures look great. I knew the neighborhood. I knew the area. I was like, I couldn't be that bad. So we actually didn't even get into the house until like 5 days into our due diligence period.
Wow.
Put that house under contract for $200,000. It appraised at $205,000.
Nice.
So we rolled in like most of our closing costs. It's a second VA home loan, which a lot of people think that you can't do that, but you can. You can have 2 VA home loans at one time. So I got this VA home loan over here with like a $124,000, 2.87% interest rate.
Nice.
Bought this $200,000, rolled in $5,000 of my closing costs plus my commission check. Again, so I got 2 VA home loans, no money down. I haven't put any money into my first 2 houses besides like any renovations or stuff that I wanted to do. But from actually purchasing them, that's what I did. So I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'm tasting what rental properties feel like, right? I got a great tenant over there. It cash flows extremely well. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's snowball this, right?
Yep.
So I get off orders with my with the Army, close that house, boom, move on. Then we're coming into 2021 at this point. I closed on that house at the end of 2020. I'm like, all right, how can I keep buying houses, but I still haven't filed my taxes yet, or haven't paid like taxes yet, right? Because I needed a really big year in real estate to do that.
Yeah.
So just from networking over the past few years, I've been doing real estate for 3-4 years at this point, in the beginning of 2021, and I started talking to other people. I'm like, hey, do you want to invest in real estate? Kind of just like that. And they're like, yeah, I just really don't have the time. I'm like, well, what if you just wanted to invest your money in real estate, backed by real estate, but you don't have to do anything? This will be the easiest money you ever make, and you can lay out your own terms, right? And so I spoke to a lady, and she was like, yeah, that sounds awesome, and I love like your motivation and you're hungry. And I was like, that's a good enough selling point for me. So found an off-market property over on the east side. The guy was like, yeah, we want $155 for it. And at the time, it was probably worth like 175, 185. Needed a little bit of work. Had some tenants in there that were underpaying, but this lady was like, "Yeah, I'll give you 100% of your purchase price." And I was like, "Okay, so this is a cash closing now at a 6.5% interest rate on a 30-year amortization with a 5-year balloon payoff." That house is now worth like 215, 225.
Yeah.
But again, so that's my third house. I didn't pay any money.
Yep. Okay. Pause for a second. So you said it was an off-market deal. What is your process, or how? Briefly, how do you go about finding off-market deals?
So this was from direct mail. So sent out some mailers.
How many?
Couple hundred.
How much per mailer?
These are pretty like high quality mailers. So like one, the little they were probably like 175 a piece.
Gotcha. Okay.
So a little pricey for mailers, but they're like really high quality, and I got a pretty good callback ratio on them.
Gotcha. And how did you choose the parameters that you sent off?
I knew what areas I wanted to invest. Like this was mainly for investing, and if I got like other real estate business, I was like, all right, great.
Yeah.
But I'm like super focused on investing, and then I can attract like other business like that. But I knew the area like where I wanted to be, and I knew I wanted, at least 3-bed, 2-bath, preferably on a sewer. Decently newer, so 90s and above. Gotcha. So that's kind of the parameters that I set there.
So roughly you spent $400 to $500 on mailers and got one deal. Worth it?
Got 2 deals because I got a listing out of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah.
So worth it in my book.
Yeah. I mean, I got a listing which closed on that, and that sold everything, so that was nice. And then bought this one with tenants in there. They were underpaying a little bit, so this really came down to like, all right, how risky am I going to be on this? Because with the 6.5%, essentially the rent was 100% covering my mortgage note, but it was only going to be for 3 or 4 months.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to do this because I know I can raise the rent when these tenants get out. Yep. And that's exactly what I did.
So they had 3 or 4 months left on their lease.
Gotcha. Yep. And they had already told me that like, hey, we're moving out, we're graduating. I was like, okay, sweet. Gotcha. So let's do it.
Nice.
So they came up, and then they were pretty much getting out in August, and then new people, I was trying to figure out to get new people in, but I know I needed to go in there and like renovate the house a little bit. Yeah. So I found a really great couple, and they're like, oh yeah, we're living with our parents, like go in there, go remodel it, and then we'll just start it whenever you're ready. Nice. And I was like, sweet, because everybody else wanted to move in on like a specific date. Right. So I did that, had my contractors go in there like a week. They remodeled the whole house. House looks phenomenal. Got a new roof on there through my insurance company, which that was awesome. Nice. Right there. $1,000 deductible for a $6,500 roof. Rented that one out. Cash flowing like $500. Nice. So now I'm cash flowing like $1,100 right now on 2. Like, okay, sweet. This is like I'm starting to get some momentum here, right? And that was just, 2 personal properties, so moving sucks, but hey, like
it's worth it.
I bought into it.
Yeah. So hold on, I should have written down a note, but so contractors. You said your contractors got in there in a week.
Yeah.
How do you get a crew up?
So essentially I was like asking, because I had somebody else, but man, in 2021 contractors were like very, very, very busy. Yeah. The good ones were,
yeah,
right?
You can say that again.
Yeah, it was just crazy. They're like, yeah, we could fit you in like 6 months. 6 months? I was like, I can't do that. But eventually, actually, another realtor like referred me a guy, and I called him, and like, I've seen his resume, like his pictures and stuff like that. I was like, he does great work, and he's like, cool, yeah, I'm finishing this job here. That timeline works out perfect for me. Yeah, I'm like, nice. Holy crap, this is like great timing. So they went in there, and those guys, they were working, because it was pretty much a full remodel of the house, like flooring, paint, counters, vanities, and stuff like that. I wanted the house to look nice. Yeah. And they got in there and did that whole thing in like a week. But they were working like 15-hour days. Wow.
So what does your pay schedule look like? I know if it's a week project, it's a little bit different than some of the ones I do. But what is your pay schedule? So surely you don't give them the whole project up front.
No. Yeah. Usually with this guy we do 50, 25, 25. Okay. So 50% up front, 25% once a certain whatever criteria that I expect to be done. Yep. At that point, then we'll do the next draw, then the final draw. Nice. We'll do the final walkthrough.
Gotcha. All right. So where are you at right now? What's your total investment portfolio?
Okay. So we got the one with the VA home loan, we got the one with the private money lender, and we got one over there on Booker Street that I found off market again and did a commercial loan on that.
Single family?
Single family.
No, tell me.
I know. Like, I'm telling you, this can be done. Like, there's
Right.
the two
Tell me
VA
about
home
it.
loans. So I did a commercial loan, right? I found this property. He wanted to sell it for like $85,000. And at the time, you know, I'm like, I can't pay in cash for that. So let me call around some of the other agents who work with investors. So, you know, I started calling them. I'm like, hey, who does your guy use? Like, I know they're not paying cash for these all the time.
Yeah.
So they started referring me around to these like local commercial banks or local lenders, local commercial lenders at local banks. So I like called around. I was like, hey, like I already had the property under contract.
Yeah.
And I'm like a few days away from due diligence ending, and I'm like, hey, like, you know, here's what I need to do. And eventually found a guy, and he was like, oh yeah, I think we can do
What
that.
bank is that?
Bank South.
Okay.
So yeah, they're low. Like, I moved my bank over to them because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna establish a relationship with these people. And but commercial lending is very different than like your traditional lending.
Yeah, it is.
Like, very, very different. Because, you know, traditional lending, they're like, hey, we need to see this again. Sign this. We need to do this. Oh, we're checking your credit score again. Can you verify that you still work?
Yeah.
Commercial, I was like, hey, man, can I buy the house?
Yeah.
And then he shot me like a thumbs up emoji. I'm like, does that mean yes?
Yeah.
Like, are we good to go? Because it was just way less intrusive.
Yeah.
Because they're not really looking so much at you. They're looking at the asset that you're buying.
Yeah.
That the bank's buying,
Yeah.
essentially. So
Yeah.
I got a commercial rehab loan. It's a 12-month term, 4.5% interest-only payments. My closing cost on that was $10,000. So I bought it for $85,000, paid $10,000 to close on it, but the bank gave me $25,000 to rehab the property. So along with that, I also had to submit my scope of work, which I just used the Bigger Pockets rehab estimator.
Yeah.
Downloaded the PDF, took a picture of the property, drug it over there, and sent that to them.
Really?
And they're like, that works, cool. Because what the commercial bank does, or the commercial lender does is when the appraisal goes out there, they send the appraiser with the scope of work. They're like, hey, like, appraise it off of this. So they appraise it and they say, cool, this house is worth $175 if all this is done. So I'm buying it at $85, house is worth $175. The bank's giving me 25% on interest-only payments. So my interest-only payments, it comes to be like $356 a month.
Yeah. So you're planning on, I guess, refining out of that at the end of the term?
Yeah, probably in like March or so, because it ends in June.
Sure.
So did that, went a little over budget, ended up spending like $35,000 on it. So, but the bank gave me 25, so I had 10 to close, and then put another 10 in for the remodel. So I got 20,000 of my own money in there. But that house now rents out for $1,500 a month.
Nice. And will it be a perfect burr? I'm assuming you're gonna.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean that. But the great thing is, it's a commercial interest-only loan, so my payment's $350 a month.
Yeah. So for the first year, you're cash flowing $1,200.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
nice.
it's unbelievable.
Nice.
So you know, so that essentially that first year is repaying most of my money that I'm gonna get, and then I can go to cash out refinance that. The house is probably worth closer to $200 at this point.
Beautiful.
So that's that one right there, and then we got Leah, Booker, that one, and then the second VA home loan property, I just rented that one out as well, and then bought another primary residence.
Nice.
So I think I'm done moving.
So you got 5, is that right?
So we got Harvest, Booker, Leah, and Wakefield. So four rentals right
Gotcha.
now.
Nice. So what are your goals with investing? Like, what are your next steps? Because I know we talked briefly a little while ago about, getting into bigger type deals. Does that mean bigger single families? Does that mean duplexes? Does that mean apartment buildings? What are your...
Yeah, so we've also we did 2 flips over the course of this past year as well, and I've partnered with people to do those flips. One owner financing, one just partner bringing stuff to the table. So that was definitely very helpful, like doing the flip, not just like being an agent for a guy doing a flip.
Yeah.
So learned a lot like that, and I've also learned a lot about like raising private money for these flips. Besides buying the one residential I did, people want to invest in real estate.
Yeah, they do.
So my main goal is to just help more and more people get educated about like investing in real estate, but not always being the landlord, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody has like their uncle who had a property and the tenant controls in the walls, right?
Everybody.
So there's other ways to invest in real estate, and as I'm like learning and growing my portfolio, my network is also growing. So one of my main goals is to help people learn how to invest in real estate, but not have to deal with the day-to-day in the trenches. There's a lot of busy people out there who want to invest in real estate, and my main concern is like, with inflation and all this other stuff increasing, I think real estate is going to be a really good opportunity for people to invest their money into these larger deals, whether they want to be short-term flip deals where they're just getting a quick return on their investment, or longer type syndication, apartment units or portfolio purchases as well.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest epiphanies for me. Was I did not know how many people were interested in investing in real estate. So when we bought our first property, which was a triplex, so, I kind of put a little bit of it out there and this and that, and then I was surprised at how many people were following along with that.
Yeah.
And one day I put a little yes or no post thing in Facebook that said, if you could get a guaranteed like 10 to 12% return on your money, would you do it? Yes or no? And a few people answered yes, and those people were like, yeah, I'm looking to invest this money.
Wow.
Real estate's the safest thing. Let's do it.
Wow.
And since then, it's got even bigger. I mean, with the real estate investor meetup that you got here in Athens, we got one in Jackson County, and it is amazing how many people have reached out saying, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this.
Right.
But they don't know where to start.
Well, they were like us a few years ago, right? But they're not agents. They have other careers and things like that. So that's one thing that's very easy to get wrapped around, is like, because we're agents, it's so easy to just get like so wrapped around, like everybody knows everything about real estate, because most people that we talk to every day, you could like use real estate slang, I call it. But just like helping people get educated, or helping people buy like their first rental property, and then seeing that like light bulb go off, like, wow, this is what cash flow is, even if it's a few $100. It doesn't matter. Oh
yeah, once you get a taste, tiny little taste of passive income, it's like a virus. It just goes crazy.
It's all you talk about at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to catch myself a lot of times being more like in a normal conversation, being too over the top real estate, and I'm like, oh, slow down. They're not as into this as I am.
But I'm like, why?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why are they not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, wrapping it up, tell us kind of what. I mentioned at the very beginning, you're like in one of the top 3 to 5, I don't remember exactly what, agents in the market center. Are you doing all that yourself?
So I do have a team. We started a team really in July of 2021. So it was one time just me and Michelle. So she was the admin, handles most of the operation sides. And we decided all right, let's see if we can build a team as well, right? Because my overall goal is like trying to surround myself with like-minded people. So the goal for the team was not to build, like a massive empire of like new agents and there's super high turnover. The goal with that would really be to like, bring on motivated, they can be new agents or, experienced agents, and help grow them and help grow also their portfolio and become more of a partnership besides just an agent who splits a commission with me. So that's been really cool. We had 2 agents. One just moved to South Carolina, so he's still kind of in the beat. But I mean, seeing what he's been able to do just over the past few months, like he flipped 2 properties. He partnered with somebody else to start buying up rental properties, right? So it's like, cool, man, goal achieved right there. We're helping this guy do this stuff.
Agents have an insider trading info on investment. Well, as someone who is in the market center, it's to know that you're one of the top 3 to 5 or whatever, 2, I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, it goes up and down.
Yeah, it goes up and down. Agents in the market center, like, I understand how hard it is to be a good to above average agent. Like, I'm still kind of amazed that like top agents are able to sustain that level of performance and be an investor. That's super tough. But you said you have a team. Like, relying on other people, whether it's being an agent or an investor, is huge. Like, so I'm also on a team. I wouldn't have gotten into real estate probably if it was not for a team, because I didn't know had a clue what I was
Right,
doing.
you don't
But
know
I'm
where to
also
start.
now building out a team with my investing. Like my brother is part of the team.
Right.
He's hired somebody. I got my partner that's a part of the team. So it's huge. So you don't have to do all this alone.
No.
Right?
I mean,
it seems overwhelming, and it would be if you did everything yourself.
absolutely.
So I encourage everybody out there that might think that this is overwhelming to join a team or to build a team, or surround yourself with people who know how to do it and rely on them.
Yeah, I mean, or even just starting out, if you just know a friend who's also motivated in real estate, like learn together, right? Because they're always going to be. It speeds up the process so much, right? Just have somebody that will hold you accountable to start growing and figure stuff out, and go to the meetups, and don't be afraid to call people to ask about real estate and stuff. I mean, because that's really what it comes down to, is your knowledge, your network, and your hustle.
Yeah. Most high level agents or investors can spot hustle a mile away, and want to be around that.
Yeah.
So I know for me, I can tell the difference between somebody that's reached out, with questions, just wanting to pick my brain, and those that are like hustle minded, like what can I do in order to get to, whatever point, or, how do I get on your schedule, or whatever it might be. There's like a proactive step of doing something. So,
right.
I know I'm always looking for somebody like that to hang out with. And
absolutely, why not?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like really refreshing just having like young motivated people come in, and they're like they're just just nose down grinding it out, and like man, like let's do this.
With that being said, there's no shortcuts to the hustle. There's
No.
not a way to get around having to call people, having to prospect for leads, and whether it's in investing, there's no shortcut around getting something off market. No. You've got to get out there. You got to hustle. You got to build relationships. You got to work. But it's doable.
100%
doable. And if, your time investment on something like that is not just for you, but if you were to get a property under contract and close on it, you'll own that as long as you want to. So not only is it for you, but in your case, you've got kids or kid.
Yeah, one kid.
One kid. So whenever you're done investing, like it'll be his choice to decide whether or not he wants to do it. I mean,
absolutely.
but you could have that for hundreds of years.
Yeah. I mean,
hypothetically.
Yeah, I mean, legacy is a big word with me, right? You know, starting out with nothing, living with the in-laws, to like start building it up, and like, having like my wife buy into it. Now she's like, holy crap, like this is amazing. She was the one who was like, let's try out Airbnb.
Yeah.
Like, let's start. Let's keep going, right? Let's keep amplifying this stuff. Yeah. Taking Troy to like. He's 5, so he's a handful. Taking him to like remodel houses and stuff like that, and just having him there to meet, like talk to contractors and stuff like that, or just have him out there like picking up bricks. Like, it's awesome.
That's fun. I don't have a kid, but
you can borrow mine anytime.
Well, my brother's got a son, so the nephew comes out at the end of the day sometimes to. He's just like he's almost 2, I guess. So he's still real early, but it's kind of exciting to see that, that next generation is being a part of it. Well, Sean, thank you so much. Unless do you have anything else you want to add? Is there anything that we've missed or that you might?
Yeah.
Where can people, are you on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram and TikTok now. Facebook, Sean Hayes. It's on Instagram and TikTok, Sean Hayes _ the Realtor. Facebook, just Sean Hayes. And those are pretty much like my most active things right there.
Nice.
But I mean, I appreciate you having me over. Yeah. Hopefully we got some good value here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guarantee this will not be the last time that we sit down and talk through things.
I hope not.
And tour properties and whatnot. But I appreciate your time. And if this is something that you guys like, and if this is something that you guys want to see more of, interviews and walkthroughs with high-level agents and investors, just give me a thumbs up, or in the comments, just send some recommendations. I'm willing to reach out to folks to see if they want to be a part of this too. And also, if you're watching and if you made it this far, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. But Sean, again, thanks for your time, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, let's do some deals now.
That's right. See you guys later.
See you guys.
Bye.